Hey everybody, welcome to On Grade. This is episode 18. I just wanted to say we're shooting in the new studio tonight. I got my co-host Devin Boudreau in studio.
What's going on, guys?
And we have Matt Morrison from MJM Utilities out of Rockwall, Texas in studio as well. How you doing tonight, Matt?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Yeah, I can't complain. And we've got this guest MC tonight. You guys might know him as a Certified Wrench on the Certified Wrench podcast, Mr. Colt McCormick.
I was going to do the waka waka waka. I decided not to.
So we got a new switcher, and none of us knew how to run it. So Colton was like, I'll come over and run it for you. And I was like, frickin' bet, bro. So Colton's here tonight, and he's going to be guest MC for the show. So I wanted to say thank you, everyone, for the last few weeks. We haven't had much going on the we've actually recorded all these episodes about a month ago?
Yeah, I think so. Something like that.
Yeah, it's been over a month. And I moved, guys, so that's why we haven't come out with a new episode. And so I just wanted to give a shout-out to all the guys that have been buying shirts and all that stuff. And there's a few people that I wanted to give a shout-out to. And let me see here.
Don't drop the ball on this one.
Yeah. I won't.
deal.
No, I won't. CMB Excavation for the hat, man. We really appreciate that.
Mr. Christian.
All the way from Canada, send us a hat. I want to say thank you to, of course, the Certified Wrench for all the support he's been giving us on his show, and also want to give Dirty and Driven a shout. If you guys haven't listened to them before, give them a listen on Spotify, iTunes. I think they're on YouTube now too. Are they on YouTube yet?
No, but do you ever have the problem with calling them down and dirty? Because I always do that for some reason. Who knows why?
Of course, I want to give a shout out to my boy Eric. He's been spreading all the love on the show for us. And I just want to say thank you to Canadian Sanitation for buying the hat, Phaser Marketing. Somebody else bought a hat.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Yeah, we got a lot of people bought some stuff, so I'll get back to that. So
We'll hit you on the Instagram.
Yeah, we'll hit you on the Instagram. So anyways, we're gonna be sitting down with Mr. Matt Morrison tonight. So Matt, you're in utilities, so kind of give us your background, man, how you got started and all that.
Yeah, so I started in 2019. I had a background in fire protection, and we kind of just started out doing small fire line repairs, and it blew up to a full-scale utility company and blew up into a monster that is just unstoppable. But
Snowball rolling down a hill.
exactly.
How long you been doing it?
Been doing it now since about 2014, and yeah, we just have been rolling with it.
What made you get into Fireline?
So Fireline, my dad, he actually had a fire protection business for 33 years, and that was like my whole life. I grew up every summer working with him, just said, hey, I need to figure out a way how to get out of these buildings that are freaking hot in the summertime. I want a little bit of a breeze from the outside. So what can I do to get outside? And I saw a couple of jobs. There was a guy with a backhoe, and, you know, just like everybody else in the dirt world, I always had a love for tractors my whole life. And I saw a guy on a backhoe installing some water line, supplying a fire sprinkler system. And I was like, well, that seems a lot easier than what I'm doing right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Matt, what was the hardest thing for you to learn about the estimating side of that?
The estimating side actually came on pretty easy because, you know, I'd always had my dad to look up to, and, you know, he taught me basically there's three things that you need to know. How much is your materials going to be? How much is your labor going to be? And then what is your profit and overhead need to be at the end of the day so you can take home money and successfully run a business and keep that business rolling. And basically, you know, all I had to do was, at first, I was doing the work, estimating the work, all of it. So, I mean, I knew how long it would take to do a job. If there was a job that I knew was going to be 2 or 3 days, then I would just go ahead and bid it for a week, just in case. And that's the biggest thing that's helped me out, because you run into issues with inspectors saying one thing and then wanting another thing at the end of the day. So then the job just drags on and drags on. You see some people that'll say, oh, it only takes 2 days to do a little water service. And then you're out there for a week doing a water service or having to make multiple trips. And then
you're running a volunteer operation.
Exactly. You're not making any money at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things. You can't control that. It's the unknown stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got to tip my hat to both you guys, because estimating pipe, that makes my brain hurt, dude. This linear foot crap, nah. Diameter, and figuring embedment and all this. I'm good, man. Give me a square, how deep I'm going. I'll give you cubic all day, baby. Square, cubic, whatever you want, but I ain't messing with that linear crap.
Oh, no, for us, it's pretty easy because, everything's right there in front of you. So it's like, you know how much pipe you're going to need. You know how many labor hours you're going to need. You know what equipment you're going to need. On a dirt job, sometimes you could use a way bigger machine than what you actually think at first.
Well, the best way to do it is you always bid with the biggest machine you can. And you do it. You bid it with the biggest machine. If you can knock it out with a smaller machine, and it gets done in about the same amount of time.
Exactly.
There's your profit. You're skimming a little more off the top. So I got to ask you guys this. I've been wanting to ask this. It's something we haven't really ever talked about with utilities, because we talk about it, but how many different supply houses do you normally need on a pipe job? I've always wondered that.
Generally, I just use one because I found them 6 months ago. I was having a problem of one utility or one supplier telling me, oh yeah, we can get this to you in 2 weeks. And then I'm sitting here at 2 weeks thinking it's going to happen. And then down the road, it's, I give them a call and they're like, oh yeah, well, we just told you 2 weeks because that was an estimated time. And then we're sitting here at a month now and they're like, oh yeah, it's going to be another 2 weeks. So I found one supply house that can be consistent, and I've just rolled with them because every time they tell me a date, it's delivered on that date.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've always done it. I've pretty much stuck to one supplier, unless it's something that, one off they can't get, or I got to go to a different spot to get something. Yeah. Sometimes you might go and get weird catch basins or vaults or something somewhere else, but usually you're going to source everything from one supply house. And I've always found the same thing. If you get good service somewhere and they're going to cater to you and help you grow and build, why go elsewhere? And everyone's like, oh, well, you might get a better price over here. Ultimately, I don't really care. You do, but you don't. I care more about the service than I do so much about the price. It's got to be competitive, but at the same time, if I'm getting top-notch service and I can depend on them, that means more to me than anything. And that's any business.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my main problem is you would say, I'm going to have this catch basin here in 2 weeks, so I'll have to wait to install it. Well, I've got other jobs to go onto, so I've got to pull a machine off of there, then go back to that job once that grade inlet delivers, and that's costing you money.
Every time.
I was going to ask you, are you guys getting away? Are they starting to let you guys get a remob for that because it's stuff's out of your control? Because it's an unforeseen, technically you could say it's an unforeseen circumstance, couldn't you?
Generally not, just because, the way that these contracts are written is ridiculous.
You gotta factor it in.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
It's kind of standard. You're ordering catch basins 2-3 weeks. You need bolts 6 weeks. You kind of know what it's going to take to get stuff, or they're going to give you a heads up like, hey, you're probably gonna be this. So you give the option, hey, we can start the job when everything's here, or we can start now, mob again, and I'll just let them know, hey, we can start now and get X, Y, Z done. You can come in behind us and do this. We got to come back to put this in or do this and do that. It's going to be extra mob charge. What do you want to do?
Yeah.
And if you're upfront about it all and run with it, then it's in there. It's written in there. You've already got it costed in. You bid it, and you do it. If you have your supplier not deliver on time and you didn't factor it in and talk to them, you're eating that.
Yeah.
But back last year, the biggest thing was concrete suppliers because I would order through my supply house, which would go through a third-party concrete supplier. And, it's kind of hard because they can't hold them to a standard of, hey, you told us this date, we need it on this date, because they're in the same boat as me. Like, they don't want to piss off their supplier and ruin that relationship.
Yeah, so it's one of those. It depends on what it is, but yeah, you always try to factor it in if you're going to be coming back multiple times. I don't see it very often where you can things that are on your end screw up. That's your problem.
Yeah,
that's kind of the story you get.
Hey guys, I hope you're enjoying the episode, but I'd like to take a minute of your time to talk to you about today's sponsor. Are you a GIS professional, land surveyor, or construction professional looking for the best in surveying equipment, software, and service? Look no further than AGS Inc. AGS Inc. is an authorized dealer for TopCon and Sokia surveying equipment dealer and EOS aerial mapping products dealer. With a supply store in Grapevine, Texas to serve the DFW Metroplex, Central Texas presence, and a corporate headquarters in Houston, Texas, AGS has you covered. Stop by and experience the AGS Inc. difference today. At AGS, it is a service after the sale that counts. AGS is the proud sponsor of the On Grade podcast. On Grade podcast listeners, give these guys a call if you want to talk about bringing precision surveying, layout, drones, GPS, GIS, or 3D scanning spatial technologies to your company. Thank you, and have a great evening. Back to the episode. Yeah, I got to say, I did have a utility company for a short time, but I had two people in there running it for me. So I was like kid in the candy store when we went out and did our first pipe job, and I'm like, this is so cool. We got trench boxes and they're putting pipes together. This is so freaking cool. And everybody's like, dude, it's not that hard. I'm like, you got to understand, dude, I've been in dirt for 10 years. Like, this is totally different world than I'm used to. And so, we've been talking about starting businesses and stuff, but this is something that we wanted to bring you on about is when you're getting started, and this is for both of you, what tools would you guys recommend at a minimum for guys to get started with? If they're wanting to get into just doing a corner lot where the water line's right there on the edge of the property, just doing a quick tie-in, what would you guys recommend? Get started out, tools and stuff like that.
I would recommend, first off, Impact, definitely with Megalugs and everything else. Whenever I first started out, it was a ratchet and 1.25-inch socket.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know how many summers I killed myself with that thing. I was like, you know what? I'm going to break down and I'm going to spend the money and I'm going to get me a $300 Impact. And it made a world of difference.
Yeah, and the time too. You look at it, it's like, oh, it's 45 minutes to bolt up this Megalug by hand or 10 minutes to do it with the Impact.
Yeah.
It's just, battery powered tools have made all of our lives easier, from grease guns to impacts to cutters, everything. But most of the stuff you can rent. I mean, if you're going to get into doing services and small commercial and stuff, go buy a tapping tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be able to do your own taps, not have to run to the supply house and try to rent one if it's there, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think when we did our first pipe job, we just included it in I think Wallace just ordered it with our materials. So we got a tap kit. Like, it came out. I think we had one that went from 1/4 inch all the way up to 4 inch. It's like one of those interchangeable taps.
I wouldn't want to pay for that one.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sitting in our office now. It never gets used. So, hey, Devin, if you need a tap kit, buddy.
I'll come pick it up next week.
Yeah,
they're not cheap.
Better leave a check with you.
Yeah. I'll get you next year. Yeah.
I got you.
Payment plan? Yeah, an Eagle payment plan.
Hey, you guys got PayPal credit, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. I guess it really depends what you're going to do. There is some specialty stuff depending on what you're going to do, but pipe laser, grade laser.
Yeah.
If you're going to go GPS.
And I'm still trying to figure it out day by day because, like, the pump situation, I have not figured that one out yet. I mean, we go back and forth between owning the pump and then it going out within 2 months. So then you're spending another $600 or just renting one at your local Home Depot right next to the job for $100.
Well, I didn't say this, but TSC has a really good warranty plan on their pumps. It's an extra $75. And when it stops working, you just bring it back. I think we're on number 6 in 4 months. So
Yeah, and it's like that's just something that you do not think about. Like something as simple as a water pump not going out every 2 months, and you're just like, what?
yeah, have multiple ones.
Yeah, we don't have to. We have pumps, but dude, literally, my guys use our pump when we're doing moisture conditioning. It like super rains really hard, really hard. Yeah, we're using the pump for that. Or if we're like digging out a pond or something, digging out a detention pond or something, we'll bring out our pump. But
Yeah.
I got a 4-inch and a 3-inch that I bought at Harbor Freight, and if they even start kicking a little bit, we just add a little oil and
Well, for us, it's
punch it 3 or 4 times. It's fine. Hit it with a hammer.
for us, you cut a ditch open, you got trench bottom opened up, it rains, that all turns to mud. You ain't putting pipe in there, or it's gonna sag or it's gonna settle. So when you got a ditch cut, it's pretty well not impossible. I've done it, but it's not fun to crawl back in there and try to skim the bottom. So
Yep.
it's you want to have a pump in there, get that dry quick. But it's like anything, really. There's always specialty tools. If you're starting out, rent it, man. You can pretty much rent anything. Between all the rental houses, there's not many tools that you can't go out and rent.
My first 6 months, I was in my head so much before I started this company, and I was just pissed off with my past situation with former employers and stuff. And I was like, man, there's no way I'll be able to start because I just don't have enough capital to start. And really, all you had to do is just rent. I rented for the first 6 months, and I mean, I saw that there was profit in it, and then slowly just each job, buy a tool, buy this tool, buy this tool, and then it cut that rental out and increased my profits.
What was the first machine you bought?
It was a 50G Mini X, and then I bought a 325 skid steer.
Nice.
Yeah. I rented for 6 months, and I was like, I worked up the numbers, and I was like, I spent that much on rental?
I paid for that machine for 4 years already.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that day before yesterday when we did our call about the episode.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was hilarious. He was like, I had 4 on rent, and I'm like, turned them in, and I went, shit, dude, I done paid for half of them. All 4 of them on 4 months of rent, man.
Yep. Yeah. And that's just a battle that you go through daily in your head. You're like, man, I don't know if I want that big a financial commitment, but you're like, if you're in business, like, you got to be in it 100%.
Yeah. But at the same time, rent when you start. Like bite the bullet, eat the cost, rent it. You're still going to make money.
Yep.
You can still be profitable in a job at rentals. Get rolling once you know what you're going to do, because like anything, you're going to specialize in something.
Yeah.
You might do more fire line than you're going to do pipe. You might do small service, rather than being massive catch basins and stuff. And that's the thing. You go out and buy something and, well, shit, you can't set a vault because it's not big enough. And you're renting a machine anyways now. So go out and start working first and figure out what you're going to do before you go out and buy gear. Because you can buy the wrong thing really easily.
Exactly. Yeah, and I've talked to a couple people that have started out, and they're like, yeah, I bought a skid steer, and then I realized it wouldn't load a truck. And then they were kind of stuck with that situation.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah. You really gotta get into it and start and figure out what it is you're doing before you go out and buy something. It's definitely gonna benefit you way more to go and do that. Bite the bullet, pay the extra cost up front, learn the business, and figure out what you want to do and where your business is going to come from before you go out and commit yourself to that. And even into it now, like I'm at the point now, I just bought another machine, and it was still the same, like, I got a couple jobs going to need it on. It's going to be, better to buy it than it is to rent it. And then, you always go back and forth and weigh the payments and the pros and cons.
Exactly.
And even when you start buying stuff, you're not necessarily going to have full utilization of it, but you kind of got to do a little bit of forecasting in the future and figure out what it is you're going to need.
Yeah. Whenever I first started, I told myself I was going to have a 5-year goal of, for the first 2 years, I was going to just do Mini X skid steer. That's all I was going to need, was just those 2 pieces of equipment, see how much profit I have at the end of that 5 years. And then I would jump to a 50,000 pound machine. And then something happened along the way where it got upside down, and I was like, okay, well, now it's time to buy a 50,000 pound machine within 3 years.
Well, and that's the thing. What you're running deer mostly, are you?
Yes, sir.
How are you liking them?
Awesome power, lifting capabilities, everything with them.
That's the deer professional sitting here, right? By the way, that's Mr. Deer over there in the flesh.
No.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, I started with deer. My only complaint when the skid steers that turned me off was just the turbo lag.
They break
Yeah.
all the freaking time.
No comment.
I'm just saying. I'm not sponsored by them or anything, but Kubota is where it's at. The Kubota 95 is proven the best skid steer on the market.
Man,
If you're not in the cab running it, listening to that glass door rattle
Yeah.
all day long, just driving you absolutely mental, then yeah, sure.
Hey,
It's,
if you're brush hogging with that thing, it's like, oh my God, get me out of this thing. I want to kill myself.
I'm telling you, once you go to a torsion suspension skid steer, you will never go to a rigid
Oh,
mount again.
I've run plenty of Cat 299s, man. They're amazing. I won't even bullshit you, but like, I've run the Bobcats too. Once they came out with the joysticks, game changer. But if you got to change a hydraulic hose on that thing, God freaking help you need a PhD to figure out how to take it apart. My man Colton over here can attest to that one. I know he can.
Got a couple busted knuckles from that one.
So on your questionnaire that we sent you, you brought up that how you're looking at how instead of everyone looking at each other as competitors and seeking how we can all help each other. What I wanted to bring up was I went to a Secret Squirrel meeting today. I'm not going to put names out. They know who they are. They also listen to the show. There is a group of us contractors here in Dallas, and I'm going to be getting both of you. I've already told you I'm going to get you into it. I'm going to make sure you get an invite next time. We're on the same page, and we're going to begin to do that. The problem that you run into in this industry is 10 guys all are on the same page. It's that one guy, though, that's not. And he's the one that screws it for everybody else. And we have to identify that gray man. And that's what we used to call him in the military, the guy that was the problem child, but you could never figure out who he was.
Socks and locks, boys. Socks and locks.
And the way you identify that guy is you starve that guy out. You make sure that he goes and works for all the crappy GCs and all that. And he's the one that ends up going down. While the rest of us are working for the good clients and playing by the rules and playing fair. And we're playing a fair game where it's fair, on both ends of the field. That's how you get rid of these guys.
It cracks me up whenever you talk to somebody in the industry and you're like, how are y'all doing? And they're like, oh man, we're super swamped. We just got so much work. We can't even keep up right now. And then you're like, okay, but what are your profit margins at? And they're like, oh man, we broke even on this job, or we lost a little bit of money on this job, or we lost money on this one. And it's like, wait a minute, why are you doing work if you're losing money on almost every one of your jobs? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, they bought a job.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't know. I've always kind of done this, and I'm not scared to not get a job. And I know what it's going to cost to do a job properly, and I'm looking at, the whole scope of it, and I see, we're going to have problems here. We're going to have things here. I'm going to bid the job how I know it's going to cost to do it. And then I get a call. I'm like, well, you're kind of high, on this. You think you can come down on price? No, I can't. This is why. Because this is going to be a problem. It's going to cost this, going to cost that. If you want to go with them, go ahead. You're going to get change order to death on it. I'm not going to hit you with a bunch of change orders because I've already accounted for all this stuff. That's why it costs more money. But you have to be willing to stand your ground. And a lot of guys I find, they're scared to say no. They're scared to turn down a job. They're scared to not take a job. They're scared to not get it. I mean, we all get that. You get the client that calls like, oh, can you drop the price? And the first thing in your head is like, okay, how much can I knock off this price? And then it's like, you just did your takeoff. You ran your numbers. You know what it's going to cost. You didn't run the numbers and be like, I'm going to 10X this and then send them the quote. No, you ran it at what it was going to cost to do the job. So when they call you and the first thing they say is, hey, you can shave some money off here? I don't want to say, end the conversation there and hang up on them. You listen to it and, see where they're coming from with it. But at the same time, the first thought in your head shouldn't be, I'm going to drop my price on this. You bid the job at what it's going to cost you to do it. And you need to be able to back that up and stand your ground. And if you're not getting any jobs because you're too high, well, then you need to go back and look at what it is that you're doing wrong, why you're costing so much money, or where you can save money or something. But at the end of the day, don't be scared to turn down a job. You don't have to take every one of them, and you have to be able to make a good margin to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's just so frustrating to me because my dad was in business for 33 years, and he only had 3 general contractors that he did work for all the time. They didn't shop his price. They didn't do anything. They didn't even question what his price was. They just knew that he did good work, knew he was going to do what he said he was going to do, and they just went with him. And there's none of that loyalty anymore, and it's something that we have to change in the industry.
It's out there, but it's not as prominent as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of coming with the change of generation, I think.
Yeah.
If anything, like you got to remember, like your old man, my old man, the previous generation, it was more of a handshake kind of business kind of thing, right? And there was loyalty, and there was people worked together and built relationships. And we've gotten away from that with social media and all this instant gratification bullshit. And you got all these guys coming into the industry that are used to that. I want it now, I want it now, I want it cheap, want it whatever, Amazon, all this crap. And it spills over into everyday business, but that's going to bite everyone in the ass.
Yeah.
And I think it's getting to that point now. And I mean, look at the labor force. Right now, I was reading this the other day, it was the other day I was reading this. There's the average age of the labor force in the blue collar trades has gone up over 10 years. So it used to be like 34 years old. We're at like 44 years old now, the average age in the workforce. Every 20 guys that retire, there's only 7 to replace them. That's the numbers right now. That's the stats. What's going to happen in 5 years when that compounds? There's going to be less people working. How hard is it to find guys right now?
Yep,
You having a good time finding them?
Yeah.
I know I am. And it's one of those things that they're not out there readily available. So push that down the road 3, 4, 5 years. How many less companies are going to be out there to do the work? How much more work is going to be? And we're going to be able to shift that table where, no, this is what it's going to cost to do this properly. And if you don't want to pay it, go find somebody else. But there's not going to be somebody else to find.
Yeah.
And it's going to change. You just have to be able to hold your ground and stick to what it's going to cost to do a job.
The other thing that's going to change the game is the automation.
Yeah.
Here pretty soon, it's going to get to the point you're going to have a guy that can sit, not so much maybe on y'all's end, but definitely in mine with Mass X, that kind of work, moisture conditioning. You might have 2 guys on the job. You might have a guy spraying water, and you might have the superintendent that's dealing with the lab tech. That's it.
Yeah.
And you might have a guy sitting in the office that's literally auto controlling 7 or 8 different machines on 10 different jobs. I mean, it could be, doing 15 things at once, and there's no one out there. And all of a sudden, everybody goes, man, they're replacing everybody with robots. Well, it's because we got an employee shortage.
Yep.
What makes no sense to me is, like you were just talking about, out of every 7, I listened to the same thing I think you did. It was on Instagram or TikTok. I heard that. The guy who said that. He was saying that there's not going to be enough people in like 10 years. There's not going to be enough guys to do the amount of work that's out there right now.
Yeah, I went back and I actually looked up the study on it, and it was like, it's crazy when you actually start reading the data on it. It's mind blowing. And it's not just a problem here, it's a problem all across the world. It's everywhere they're seeing the same thing. And I think Europe saw it first, and that's why you see so much more of like tilt rotators and attachments, stuff like that for the new machine I ordered. I went in and I wanted to get a quote on a tilt rotator. They didn't even know what the hell it was. And I'm like, what? Like, you guys are Caterpillar. Like, you never even heard of it, didn't know what it was and stuff. It's not a thing here. No one runs them. But you go up north and you go to places where you have less people, it becomes more prevalent because you're eliminating a laborer. Same as like GPS, having grade control on a machine, especially when you're digging a trench. You don't have to have a guy in the ditch. It's just smart. You're eliminating the potential for error, and 2, you're also cutting down your labor cost.
Yeah.
So it makes a lot of sense. But I think where we're going to see things going is on the estimating side of stuff. With ag tech, heavy bid, all that stuff. I think it's going to get to a point where you're going to have standardized pricing. And it's probably going to be that because, we can pull up ag tech or heavy bid and run a quote on a job just like the GC can. And once that platform gets enough data in there, it's going to get to a point where you're going to have an average cost to install pipe in this place. You're going to have an average cost to moisture condition a cubic yard of dirt here. And I think we're just going to get to a point where it's just going to be set standardized pricing.
It already kind of is in dirt, man. Like, especially around here, it's gone up now because of diesel and stuff. But like, I can tell you all this, for like 4 years, it was $3 $3.25 to do cut fill, unless you were moving it like an insane amount of distance. If you're running scrapers and you had to take it, a mile down the road, yeah, it was more. But like if you're on, 10-acre site, 10 to 100-acre site, that was usually a ballpark of what you were paying. It was about $3.25. If you're doing moisture condition, it was between $3.75 and $4 a yard. Blue topping was 25 cents to 34 for blue topping per square foot. So I mean, it was pretty regulated. Everybody's bids were within 10 grand of each other forever. And then you always got that one guy that was like 50 grand less than everybody else. Like, hey man, I got this one bid, man. And you're like, what's the name of the company? And they're like, blah, 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 skid steer service. You're like, well, go ahead, have fun with that guy. Because it should be telling you something when 4 of the 5 guys that bid this job are within 5 to 7 grand of each other. Yeah. It should tell you, who knows how to bid and who don't know how to bid.
Yeah. Yeah, we just jumped into the world of GPS back in August. We got a 210 with automatics on it. And I mean,
Game changer.
A monkey can run that machine.
It sped my moisture conditioning up so much, dude, because the guys used to have to get out with the tape measure, just measure down in the hole. Now they're just like, boop, hit the autos. When they get the last 3/10,
Yep.
cut the last of it. Lab guy goes down in the hole. He just has our guys put the bucket on the ground and go, hey, can you give me that elevation?
Well,
that's how we do it now.
Well, it's like with us, our curb inlets, grade inlets, whatever, our stakes were always getting knocked down. And you don't really think about how much surveying cost you until all your stakes get knocked down 5 or 6 times on a job site. It's, pretty good size. And you're like, wait a minute, I spent how much on surveying again?
Yep.
And then, just the GPS being able to say, okay, well, our stakes are knocked down, but this grade inlet goes here. This curb inlet goes exactly right here. And being on the money every time is worth it.
How long did it take you to get your guys used to using it?
Quite some time. They were, most of my operators are like in their 40s to 50s, so they're old school guys and they hate technology, do not accept it at all. But I got a younger guy that he's training up to be an operator. My foreman is right now, and he loves it. He's like, man, this is like playing a video game. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, my old guys are hysterical. They're actually the ones that gripe about the GPS now. And the young guys are like, well, I'd like to learn how to do it the old school way. So it's actually become like reverse psychology because they've gotten used to having GPS. So the sensor went out on one of our dozers like a week ago, and they call me and they're like, the 850 sensor went down. I'm like, yeah, well, the part's a month out. And they're like, so that means I got to paint stakes for a month? I'm like, yeah, you got to paint cut stakes. You got to paint fill stakes. I know, it's terrible. You got to go back to doing it like we did 10 years ago.
The first time I worked with an older gentleman who was probably in his, I don't even know, he was so old.
Yeah.
But he starts taking out stakes, banging stakes in the ground and shooting string lines all over the place. And it looks like a spider is just woven a weave all over this job site. And I'm like, what is this guy doing right now? It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen.
So we're digging out a basement right now for one of the school jobs I'm doing. And it was funny because we're running GPS, but the concrete guy doesn't run GPS. So they actually had us leave the piles of dirt with the stake for them. So we've got in the middle of this pad where the piers go, these giant piles. They're like 5 foot in the air with the stake on it. So their surveyor can go up there and shoot it. I'm like, bro, we can reset your point for you. Oh, we don't trust you. Just leave it where it is. All right, well, we'll just dig around it. And don't get mad when we give you a change order to come back and dig out that part because you wouldn't let us do it.
Yeah.
So it's funny because I was looking at the pictures on our field reporting software the other day, and I'm like, what is with the towers you guys got going on out here on this pad? And they're like, oh, the concrete contractor doesn't have GPS, and you don't trust that we're going to take those stakes out and put them in the right spot. I'm like, it's within a millimeter, dude. Wait, what else do you want? Like, how accurate can you get? I mean, a pier can be off a millimeter. I think we'd be all right. So
we had one job that the concrete guys were like, oh, your grates are 3 inches high. And I'm like, no, not really. And I start taking out the GPS out of my truck. And he's like, what's that? I'm like, well, this is going to prove to you that it's exactly where it needs to go.
Yeah. I haven't made the switch yet. I've demoed it and my head exploded the first time I looked at it. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to have to embrace this and learn to use it. But it's coming.
He doesn't use Fahrenheit. He doesn't use GPS. I don't even know why we're friends anymore. I really don't. I mean, you're great people, though. I still love you. But he is my Democrat. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. He's actually like I'm probably more Democrat than he is, actually. It'd be funny.
I didn't come all the way down here to be that shit.
Jesus. Dude, so I was really loving the questions that you actually wanted to ask us. I'm pretty humbled by that, and I really appreciate you asking them. So the question he gave us was, when do you get comfortable enough to hire a project manager estimator? And Devin, you're going through the same thing, so I thought maybe you'd give him an answer.
Couldn't tell you because I'm still fighting with that one.
Okay, well,
honestly, like, I'm at that point where it's like trying to wear 7 hats at once, all over again. So I did this once, built it up, was myself, started hiring people, went through that all, came down here, started again, put the 7 hats back on, doing everything, and then you're growing that much faster, and you get to the point, and I'm at that point now where it's like, I just have to bite the bullet and do it. But it's, you got it in the back of your head that no one's going to do it as good as you can. But the reality is it's not. You can find someone.
Well, it worries me the most is even myself, of course you're working all day out in the field and then you go back home and you're bidding late at night and you miss, a curb inlet here or something here. One job, there was a Richardson, they require a con shield oil water separator. And I was like, well, I didn't have time to get a quote from my supplier. So I was like,
$5,000.
Yeah, I was like, screw it. It's probably like around 10 grand or something. No, that was actually 18,000. And I was like, oh, okay.
This was a goof up on my end here. One of the first ones I did here in Princeton. I saw it on the plans. They wanted coating on the manholes inside, epoxy coating. In Canada, when you order tanks and manholes and it calls epoxy coating, they come with them on it. So I just assumed that that's how it went here. So I sent it out to get priced, got the pricing back, did the job. Manholes get delivered. I look inside, call Supply House. I'm like, why is there no epoxy coating on this, man? What are you talking about? So what said it needed an epoxy coated manhole? Well, yeah, you get it done after. Really? Yeah. What? They don't just come that way? No, they don't do that down here, man. I'm like, oh, man, okay. So then I start calling around. Let me tell you, if you want a business to get into, start going coating manholes because that stuff's not cheap.
Oh, yeah.
And they're quick. Like, they're in and out 2 hours. You got a couple manholes done, and, like, it's a hefty bill.
Yeah, if you're getting into utilities and you want to go full into it, I would highly suggest before you bid a job, make sure to read through all the specs because every city is different. And that's what drives me nuts is that around the DFW area, you don't just have a standard, okay, this is what you do in Dallas area. Dallas has different than McKinney, than Irving, than South Lake, all of them, so on and so on. You have to make sure to read those specs.
And depending on what engineer does the drawing, you're going to get 10, 20, 30 pages, whatever it is. You're going to read through the drawings. You're going to see the spec page. You're going to read the spec page, but you're going to miss the note on the actual print that calls out something that's not on the spec page that you missed that then cost you a bunch of money and whatever else. But yeah, that's the problem with utility drawings. Depends who draws them.
And that's what terrifies me about hiring an estimator or even estimator / project manager is, there's so many things that you can miss that can make your job go upside down real quick. So it's like,
that's when you need to really invest in finding that's where you got to spend the money. That's the one position in a company you spend the money. Like, pay a lot for a superintendent, pay a lot for an estimator, pay a lot for a project manager. Because those 3 guys right there are going to make, or gals. I'm not trying to be unpolitically correct here.
Could be both these days.
I mean, you never know.
And we're canceled.
And Spotify just cut us off. But what I was going to say about that, though, seriously, that is the best bang for your buck. Make sure you find somebody that's super qualified. Like, I do not bring guys in unless they got at least 10 to 15 years experience. And because I kind of follow something, a lot of people, whatever they think about Trump, I don't really care. That's your opinion. But I will say that man was brilliant in business. And one thing he always said was, I might be the richest guy in the room, but I hire the smartest people in the room. And that's something he does. And that's what made him successful. So, I'm taking that out of his book that, hey, that dude knew what he was doing, man. He didn't know everything, but he got people that sure as hell knew that field if he had to question about it. So, do your research, man. Do some digging. Get on LinkedIn. Be like, hey, I'm looking for a guy. And I'll tell you something, especially I know all of us here have a LinkedIn, and I'll tell you, that app is super helpful, dude. You can find some really amazing people on there. I mean, I wouldn't have found you. I wouldn't have found a lot of people that I deal with now if it wasn't for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Gram's awesome. Don't get me wrong. Gram's fun. You can put the cool picture of your excavator on there and stuff. But but really, if you're trying to do the professional side of stuff, LinkedIn is where it's at though for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I agree.
Well, at that same point though, like, how do you find somebody not only that can properly bid and knows all the specs and everything, but how do you find somebody that is also trustworthy that, there's some people out there that they want no part of owning their own business whatsoever, but there's also other people out there that want you to use you as a stepping stone basically to get to the next level. And if they like steal I've heard of multiple companies where people were actually stealing machines from big companies, using them on their job sites and bidding work on the side and using the company that they're working for's equipment and all kinds of stuff. Like, how do you...
Here's my philosophy on that. I honestly want to be able to train every one of my guys to the point that they can leave, start their own company, go work somewhere else, and be the best fucking possible person at that, whatever they do.
Yeah.
If I was to sit here and worry about the person leaving me or taking business or screwing me over or whatever, I'd never hire anybody.
Yeah.
I'd never grow and I'd never move forward. And I honestly look at it, and I truly mean this. Like, I want my guys to learn everything they need to learn to be able to leave and go somewhere else if that's what they want to do and succeed doing whatever it is they want. But on the backside, treat them so good that they're never going to leave.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of guys that have the ability to go out and run a business, but not a lot of guys really want to go out and do it.
Yeah.
They like the idea of owning a business, but they're not really prepared to do what it takes to do it. And being in it, they see that. And it's a chance you're going to take. You're going to have that. You're going to take that gamble.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just look at it as I want my guys to be able to learn everything they need to learn and be able to go and do that if that's what they want. And I'll help them. I've had a guy, that didn't really work out, not because he wasn't a good worker and stuff, but he just really wanted to go do his own thing. Man, I helped him get started. Back in Canada, we shared work back and forth, and, I helped him get going. It doesn't hurt to do that, Yeah, it hurts in the moment, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt you in the long run because it's always going to come full circle, right? So I don't know. That's just how I look at it. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's how I see it.
Yeah.
I look at it like I'm going to caveat what he said because he nailed it on the head for me. But something I would say to add to it is you want your guys to succeed. I want my guy. There's guys that I work for me that I think could go out on their own and completely kill it. I really do. They're killers. Like they're go-getters. They're hardworking. I think a lot of them got a taste of what real commercial construction is, though. And I can tell you, I don't think most of them want to deal with that. I think a lot of them want to go to doing the smaller stuff.
Yeah.
And they'd kill it because they're really good operators and they know how to handle money. And that part of the job, I think they do well. But I've actually had a lot of guys leave us and go to GCs and become PMs over there or superintendents because that is, I hate to say it, and nobody listening to GC, no offense to you, but it's an easier job. You don't need to be as technical as you do as a sub. You get to go to the golf outings on Fridays. And most of the time you leave work at 1 or 2 in the afternoon. They got a little bit easier life than we do. The caveat to that is, when you walk in a room, nobody trusts you. Most people smile and nod at you, and under their breath, they're like, fucking GC. And yeah, I'm saying what's everybody. I did this today at that round table. Y'all are going to laugh at me when I tell you all this, but today I was like, everybody's being PC, and I looked at Garrett, and Garrett just nods, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to say what everybody else in the room is going to think. These guys are fucking assholes. They don't want to pay their fucking bills. And, and everybody's like, fuck fuck yeah. The concrete guy sitting next to me is like, fuck yeah, you know. And they're like, I'm like, why doesn't anybody else say this shit? And they're like, oh, you know, I don't want to offend. I'm like, fuck offending somebody, dude. It's your money, bro. If you're going to offend somebody because you're trying to make sure your guys get paid and you can pay your bills and you're protecting your company, fuck that, dude. You're going to make enemies. So what? Who gives a shit? There's 100 different people to work for in this town, especially in this town.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I get it. Like, where you were at, yeah, you got to be a little more careful about it. But where we're at, fuck that, dude.
Well, at the end of the day, they're still playing the same game too. It's not like they don't know how it rolls, and they're doing the same thing too. So it is what it is. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't. Back to what you were talking about. I've sub out my estimating. So I have a guy who does my estimates, takeoffs, does the takeoffs. I price him, build the job. And honestly, it was the same thing. Like in the beginning, I was like, man. The funny thing is, he actually reached out to me, and at first I was like, no, this isn't gonna work. And a couple weeks later, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Why don't I just try this? So I had him do a couple takeoffs, and then I did them myself. And I compared them. I'm like, man, that guy caught shit I didn't even see, right? Like, you know, and seriously, you know, and you do that a couple times, and then you build up the trust. And now it's to the point like it comes in. Like I've had stuff go to the supply house, you know, and they're pretty damn good. They catch a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I've had stuff go to the supply house and come back, and there's stuff missing on there that he picked up. And now I just start sending his stuff off to them, and they're literally pricing off of his stuff. And I check it, go through it, you know, when it's already done and complete, and it's sitting there in an Excel sheet. How long is it going to take me to go through that line for line, check everything, find it? 30 minutes? Yeah. You know, how long is it going to take me to do the takeoff? You know, you're just buying time, right? But yeah, it's kind of to that point. I'm in the same boat where I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to bite the bullet here real soon and bring somebody in-house to do it. And it's going to be a learning experience. And I'm sure it will probably be no worse than you learning to use GPS the first time, or no worse than it's going to be for me when I do that too, right?
Yeah.
But it's just natural progression.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to have the popcorn out.
Yeah,
With the GPS. I'm going to sit on tailgate with the popcorn.
Man, the GPS guy coming out, he came out the first time, set us up and everything, and then he came out multiple times after that, and then I would call him every time we would have trouble setting it up or it wouldn't sync right. And every time I was like, man, I know that you're getting tired of me by now. And he's like, no, this is what we're here for. Yeah.
What are you running, Top Gun or
Top Gun?
What did you just do the machine, or you did base, rover, the whole
base, rover, everything? Yeah. Yep.
It's a big investment, but I don't know. Everyone that has it tells me the same thing. Like you're never going to go backwards after.
No, you do not. It is a game changer for sure.
It's it's no different than years ago when they went from, you know, the old sight glass and the grade rod to the lasers. You know, I'm sure it was the same transition at that point.
Exactly.
I still run a transit, man. I mean, we have that as a complete backup. I think you and me were talking about that one episode. Robert has one in his truck. I bought him one last year, and I'll tell you something, it saved our butt a few times when they're like, oh, your GPS is off, and we'll sit there and shoot it with the GPS and then take the target, put it on the rod, and they're shooting within a millimeter of each other. And I'm like, yeah, this ain't off, and this is line of sight, dude. So what's your argument now?
Well, it's crazy because, like, you know, the pipe lasers, everybody in Colorado up and north of that, Canada and stuff, you always see the guy setting the pipe laser in the pipe. And here in Texas, everybody sits it up top of the ditch. And, you know, I've heard multiple times humidity in the pipe down here, it'll throw that laser off sometimes. And you got to go old school and check it and double check. But, yeah.
Yeah, when we were doing it, we ran it out of the ditch. And then we ran it, in the wintertime, we ran it in the ditch. And then Wallace would run it up on top when it was warmer.
Yeah.
Just depending on the day. How do you run it? Do you run it in the ditch, or how do you guys
We
do
run it on top.
Yeah.
I still run laser and grade rod. Set on top, run it through.
Keep it gangsta. I love it.
Idiot proof.
So
Pipe lasers are pretty good too, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were getting back to the PM thing real quick. You want to make sure too, man, that he understands the game. He understands contracts. He understands all that, because we've learned here over the years that 3 sets of eyes on a contract is usually the best way to do it.
Yeah.
You know, like Devin says this all the time on the show. You can't eat an elephant all at once, but you can one bite at a time. Those contracts sometimes are 40 to 50 pages long. So if you have one guy look at the scope, You have the other guy look at the legal jargon. You have another guy looking at payment terms. You have another guy looking at, insurance requirements and stuff. And then you all sit down at the end of the day and compare notes. Have a little round table kind of like we're having right now. Everybody can be like, yeah, I don't really like that. We should change this. We should change that. And believe it or not, we started doing that. I have my estimator sit down with super, me and the PM, and we all go over it. And I'll be honest with you, we don't miss a lot now.
Yeah.
Because when I was doing it all by myself, 9 times out of 10, I'm looking at it, and then Devin's sending me a meme, or, I'm laughing about something, or my girlfriend texts me because she's sent me something funny on TikTok, and I get distracted. I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then I get back, and I'm like, oh, crap, where was that on the contract? So, it's just like I gotta remind. Of course, I have ADHD, so that doesn't help either. So, it is what it is. But, you want to make sure that when you are doing a contract, man, that you are really thorough with those, because that is what makes or breaks the job. And having a good PM, that should be number one thing you should be good at, is knowing legal jargon, making sure he's got the proposal right here, contract right here, and you're just like, yep. No, they missed that. Okay, make sure we put that in there. That's in our proposal. I look at it like this. If you can find a GC that'll sign your proposal, dude, you got it made. Because you literally have, if you do write a good proposal, which I assume you do, you got all your inclusions and exclusions in there. Devin's seen my proposal. I literally dug a trench for him, and I sent him a 5-page proposal. He calls me, he's like, "We bit excessive here." I was like, "Bro, it's been doing this a while."
I hear guys all the time that have been going for a while, and they're like, make sure that your exclusion's really long. And whenever I first started, I had like 3 or 4 exclusions.
Oh, boy.
And then, after my first 6 months, it was like I had one thing on my inclusions, and my exclusions was basically a whole page of just BS that you think that won't affect you at all, especially doing utilities. And it's like, people want you to resod the whole landscape area, and it's like, I'm a utility contractor. Like, what are you talking about?
The best one ever was a couple years ago. I had a GC tell me that I'm supposed to bring in a certain type of topsoil, and it was like some C3 crap that you have to get from like Living Earth, and it's like $110 a ton. And I had to bring in 2,500 tons of it, and I was like, yeah, you can get, what? Because I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, it's in your contract. I said, point it out. He couldn't find it. Of course he couldn't. He's like, well, it's in the plans. I said, that doesn't matter. I said, did you read what it says in the contract? He says, no. I said, read the fucking contract. He looks in there. He reads topsoil. It says on-site use only. On-site soils only. So I just literally kind of did the whole like that, Mike dropped that shit. I walked out of his office, and the guy's like, I could just see his neck vein just, And I was like, get fucked, bro. I don't care. I'm not going to go out of business just because you think you can give me a change order for that. I'll be more happy to do it. And of course, you guys know how that goes. I'm not going to do that. Yeah, we'll get somebody else to do it. Okay, get somebody else to do it. So I suckered the utility guy into doing it. And then he calls me.
Of course.
A buddy of mine, he calls me, and he's like, I didn't realize this shit was $125 a ton. I said, why do you think I said no? He's like, well, I wish you would have gave me a heads up. I said, I didn't think they were going to call you. I thought of all people, they call a landscaper to do this shit, not fucking you.
And
He's
that comes back to stick to what you know.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I had to learn the hard way is don't do anything extra. Stick to what you know. If you know just utilities, you don't know excavation, stick to utilities.
We'll demo out like manholes and stuff sometimes for them, but that's because my guys have done it. And usually the utility guys will be like, hey, when you guys are getting ready to do it, we'll come out and cut the pipe for you. They'll cut the ends of the pipe off or whatever they need to do. We'll pull it out. That's no big deal. We don't care about doing that. It's when you go, hey, we got 25-foot grade beams in the ground, and we need you to go down 12 foot and demo them out. I'm like, so there's this great company down the street that has a machine that does that. Why don't you just call them?
Yeah.
Oh, well, their bid was too high. Well, they're a demolition company, so of course they're probably going to be higher than me. So, yeah, I'm not a demolition company. Yeah, I love that. I'm sure you guys know this, too. We get confused for some reason. They think excavation spells demolition. I get asked that all the time. They're like, hey, will you knock a house down? I'm like, That's what demo guys do. Oh, yeah, well, you know, it's a wood slab, and then you always pull it out, and it ends up being a 10-foot thick concrete slab from like 1950 that they thought that the Soviets are going to nuke them, so they got a freaking bunker under the house, you know, and you're like, dude, I'm not doing this, like, and they're like, well, what can't you? And you're like, I need a 10-ton jackhammer just to take your foundation out, bro. Like, I'm not doing this.
House demos are fun though. There's very few things that you can do with an excavator that's more fun than demo a house.
No, it's totally true. The best time I ever had though was in Oak Cliff with a D10 knocking houses down. I think I told you that story.
No.
Yeah, we were doing they're building lofts down there. You know all those new lofts they built down there. I'm sorry, it's still Oak Cliff, but the Bishop Arts District. Yeah, it's still Oak Cliff. All right. So, anyways. We went through there about 10 years ago and cleared all that out, all the crack houses and all that crap, right? So it's all overgrown with brush. You probably remember when you were a kid. Yeah. It's all overgrown with brush and all that stuff. So we took a 10 through there and just knocked them all down, and then came behind them with jackhammers and knocked the slabs out. And so I'm in the 10, and I'll never forget it because they said all the houses were cleared out, right? So I got the bull blade down, and I'm just going, and I'm and all of a sudden I see like 3 dudes like run out, and one's like got his boxers down like at his legs because he was trying to shit into a bucket or something in the house because it was a crack house. And all of a sudden, I just see this powder come out of the house from when I was like shoving. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's probably asbestos, right? Yeah. And everybody's like, no, that wasn't asbestos, bro. Just keep going. It's fucking heroin, dude. Fucking went all over the street.
Oh, my
There was
gosh.
needles everywhere, dude. I mean, needles. Oh, it was terrible, dude.
If I'm on the west side of Dallas, my favorite thing to do coming home from work at 4 o'clock is take the HOV lane, hit where there's traffic, go through downtown Dallas, and just look at all the homeless people. You see some sights.
Oh yeah.
I got tent cities all over the place down there now.
Yeah.
It's like getting like that in Fort Worth. Of all places, Fort Worth's getting like that. You know, it's like,
Once
really?
you cross that center line of Dallas, things get real weird down there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
tell people it gets kind of western over there. Yeah, it gets kind of western down there.
Oh, that anything on the south side of Dallas, I'll rent equipment. I don't care how much it costs.
Oh, yeah.
I'll rent equipment.
Yep.
Every time.
They better have razor wire around the job site.
Yeah.
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 We did a job one time. They put razor wire on the job site. Because I think it was the 10th time their job trailer got broke into and all the computers got stolen out of there. They were like, yeah, we're going to put razor wire up. I was like, they got to the point they started getting like off-duty cops to sit on the jobs, and shit was still getting stolen off the job. It's like, are you kidding me? They got a fucking cop sitting out here. They're still stealing shit. Yeah, good times. So
Now that we're off topic completely, what like how many crews are you running right now?
Right now, we were running 3, but we just reduced down to 2 because, I mean, it's just like how much, I think y'all brought it up multiple times, like how much headache do you want to go through?
Yeah.
Like what is your amount of headache that you want to deal with every day? And to me, it wasn't worth it. So we just went back down to 2, and we're going to stay like that.
economy of scale, man. My brother over here says it every episode, dang near. It's the truth. I mean, you got to sit there and weigh the pros and cons. Do I buy a bunch of machines? Do I hire a bunch of guys and have 500 headaches, or do I get lean and mean and profit margin jumps up, and you're making the same amount of money, but your margins are better. You're making better money. Your quality of life's better. Your guys' quality of life's better. You're probably running better machines because you can afford better machines. You know, it's a give and take. Like Devin's my hero, dude. Like I go over.
Don't go that far.
I go over to his shop, and I promised we were going to tell this story, didn't I? In the Instagram, I told everybody I was going to tell this story.
So Brandon shows up at the shop.
Yeah.
He's like, I got to check out this new 325. So he jumps in it, fires it up, swings it around and stuff, jumps out, we're chatting for a while, takes off. Next morning, I jump in that thing to go move it around, hit the button to go start it. It's stone dead. I'm like, oh, I must have left the master on and flipped it off when I flicked it. So I jump out, flick the master again, jump back in, hit the button. Nothing's going on. What the hell? And I'm messing with it, and I look down at the dial knob, and I'm like, oh, motherfucker, he left that knob on, killed the battery, he's dead that night. So then I go over, complete brain fart moment, fire the Pete up, drive the Pete over, because I got the battery terminals on the side of the battery box, grab the cables and put it on there, put it on the machine, sitting it there running for 25, 30 minutes. Then I go out, go to fire the machine up. Computer fires up, machine won't start. What the hell? Got all these error codes and everything. I'm calling the sales guy. Can't figure out what's going on. Probably about 35 minutes into this, at which point I realized I jump in the truck to go move the truck or shut the truck off. And I look down at the battery gauge and it says 12 volt on the gauge. I'm like, you idiot. Anyone who doesn't know, excavators are 24 volt systems, so you ain't going to boost it.
So you need to hook 2 trucks up to it pretty much. It's about the only way you can jump it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I sent him a picture. I'm like,
Well,
just
Steph
so you
did-
know, the dial goes to the off position when you shut it off.
Steph was very impressed with it. You know, we taught her how to move the boom and stuff. And then she actually got on the skid steer and she moved buckets for us. Very impressive. She actually got up on the trailer and
Grab the buckets.
backed up. And she learned how to like do the quick attach and all that. And you know, she didn't like it when I turned the throttle up a little bit because she was going so slow and she got a little nervous. But once she got the hang of it, she did pretty darn good. I got to give her props.
Operator training school.
Yeah, we got OTC over at Rubin Excavation, you know, whenever you guys want to come on. But
Hey, they charge a lot of money for that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
hey, I think we got our Saturday plans now. We can make a little extra money on the side. It's like that Top Gun moment. He's like, hey, Mav, what's the name of that truck driving school? We talk, the one that's on TV, that 1-800 truck driving school? Because you know we're going to get kicked out of the Navy, so you know we got to go to truck driving school.
So what are you running for jobs right now? You're doing 2 at a time? You're running 2 crews on one?
Yeah, we're running about 2 jobs a week right now, medium-sized jobs, and then we have 4 to 5 guys on each job. What's our really bread and butter is the service work of the fire line repairs.
Yep.
Those only take 2 to 3 guys. At first, we were bidding them as a set cost job if we knew the general dynamics of what all the problem was going to be. But we started just doing time and material on them, and man, those jobs are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. That's a good thing. What do you think you specialize more in that kind of, you like that space?
Correct. Yeah. We've started moving over to the medium commercial jobs more now, but before that was our bread and butter. It's hard to scale with fire lines because there's just not enough of them to do just fire lines.
Yeah.
Like everybody wants the water service, fire line, and sewer done at the same time, not just fire line.
I've always found like same thing. When I started was a service repair business, and I found like that's your bread and butter. That's where you're making your margins. It's where you're making good money. And if anyone's like wanting to get into the industry, if you have knowledge, like you got working knowledge, you've been in it for a while, you know what's going on, get into the service repair as a start, because that's where you're really going to make some money and get.
Our first year, we did, I don't know, 10, 15 bars in the Deep Ellum area where we were just doing water and sewer services. And it was like we were in and out in a week. Just easy.
Yep.
No headaches.
Yeah, no, it's definitely good. Well, I shouldn't say that. Let's backtrack here. There's no headaches when you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you've done tons of them and you have experience and you know all the problems that are going to occur, because the first 4 or 5 you do, you're pulling your hair out and losing your marbles because you run into all these random problems and weird things, and that become normal after a while.
And Dallas, it kind of got tricky because they changed processes of how you do things, and they didn't really have a set process in place, but like one inspector would say this, one inspector would say this. You just kind of had to roll with it. Know it was going to happen when you bid the job.
Is your old man still in business, or?
Yeah, he's still in business, and he's just doing enough to keep him busy. He calls himself semi-retired.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the goals? What's the plan? What's the future looking like for you?
Future looks like just right now staying where we're at, and then eventually, like I said, getting the project manager, getting the estimator, just knowing who I can trust to do that position, and getting to that point where I kind of have them leading everything.
I think bringing in a PM and an estimator is kind of like starting a company. You gotta. I'm stealing your line again, bro, but I'm gonna say it. You got to burn the boats and just fucking go for it. Because if you don't, if you sit there and hesitate the whole time and you micromanage the guy, you're never going to give him a chance to do the job. That's the other problem. A lot of people, it's their baby. They don't want to let go.
That's
it's
my
like,
problem.
hey, I built this. This is my name on the door. Like, I don't want to screw this up. But at the same time, it's like, I have no life.
Yeah.
So what do I do? You're screwed if you don't. You're screwed if you don't. But you just gotta take the chance, man.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, you're gonna be sitting here for 10 more years going, like we talked about on the phone the other day. I have no life, dude.
Yeah.
You know, every Saturday I'm on a job site when I could be at home with my kids, or I could be riding my Harley, or whatever you want to do in your off time.
Yep.
You know, whatever your hobbies are.
I mean, I slept in my chair the other night at the office.
I called you. I called him. I said, "Hey, what you doing?" He's like, "I'm finishing up a proposal. I just woke up." I'm like,
Guys roll in the shop. 6:15 in the morning. Walk in the door. I wake up as the door's opening. Look at me. Oh shit, you're here early. Wait, did you sleep here? Yep. Yeah. Just fell asleep somewhere around 3:00 in the morning, and yeah, that's what it is. But yeah, it's. I'm in the same boat as you, and I get it. It's hard to really want to back off and let somebody else do it, but at the same time, you know, it's no different the first time you left the crew in a job. Drive away.
Yep.
They got to think of all this shit. Where are they going to fuck up?
Whenever I first started back in 2014, like just me, I was always on every site and I was always there the whole time until the crew finished. But whenever I first got, you know, enough to step away from the job site and just let them do what they needed to do, like I was like, are they going to hit a gas line? Are they going to hit the water main? It's Friday at 4:00. Of course they're going to hit the water main. Like, just all these things were just racing through my head, and I'm like, how do I get past this? And then finally, it just, you know, clicked.
I don't always hit water lines, but when I do, it's 4:00 on a Friday. I swear to God, dude, I'll never forget it. We were doing a turn lane, and the utility contractor was doing his tap, and they were digging it out, and I was like, really doing a tap on a Friday? That is like the worst luck in the world, dude. And the inspector was even kind of like, why are you guys wanting to do it today? Like, he even kind of said something, and I was like, I walked over. It was a job with McKinney, and you know, they're not the easiest guys to deal with, especially with utility stuff. But I walked up to him, I was like, you know, something's gonna happen. I got a feeling. He's like, bro, you better go find some wood and knock on it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go. So I found a stake and I went and knocked on it, and I'm like getting in my truck and I'm headed home, and like all of a sudden I look behind me and I just see and I see the bucket like trying to, you know, cover it up, and I'm like, oh, I'm out. I didn't see shit.
One of our first jobs in Deep Ellum, we were working off of Main Street there, and we hit an old curb stop. They didn't take it out and plug it, and it just blew out. And I was like, I came up to the job site, and there's water just going everywhere. You know, all these businesses down Main Street. It's 3:00 on a Friday, of course, and all these businesses, the owners are coming out, and they're like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And I'm like, I don't know. And then one of my guys, I've never seen this trick before. That's one thing. Even as an owner, you will learn something every day, literally every day. He takes one of the shovels, cuts off the end of it, and bevels it down and jams it in the hole. And I was like, that's not going to work. That's going to blow out in 2 seconds. Sure enough, just like a pencil, you know, it blocked the water. And the city of Dallas comes out there and they're like, well, I mean, this isn't really y'all's fault. This is an old service. We should have had it marked out, blah, blah, blah. We'll get all the parts and everything you need. And they're like, but you need to go to our water department on the other side of town and go pick it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll bring you the parts, but you're going to install it.
Yeah.
Like that water department, because I have to go over there to get water meters sometimes for jobs.
Yeah.
Dude, it is out in the middle of fucking nowhere. Like, you're like, how is this Dallas? Like, you literally go through East Dallas and you're like, this is a shithole. And then all of a sudden you're in the woods.
Yep.
And you're like, how the fuck is this Dallas? And then you're in swampland. And you're like, all of a sudden this huge building is like in front of you and it's the water department. I'm like, and you walk in there, it's the same old guy. Every time I walk in there, he's like 400 fucking pounds. And he's like, can I help you? I'm like, yeah, I need the water meter. He's like, what contract are you with? I was like, what did you say? What contractor were you with? I'm Iron Eagle. Oh yeah, I got your meter right here. It's right there. And he's like, it's like right next to the guy. He won't even pick it up to hand it to you. So you got to walk around his damn desk and pick up the water meter. I'm like, bro, I get it, you're a city employee, but you can still get off your fucking ass and help me with this shit. Like, for real, dude. Like, every time I've ever had to deal with them, it's the same fucking guy too.
Yeah.
We made, so when I was in Canada, we used to do a lot of residential service upgrades, and the city is like, everything was built in the 40s and 50s. So you don't really ever know what you're digging up, and usually it's just deteriorated so bad at that point. All the CCs are leaking, everything's just a mess. You're trying to shut off a water service, and if you call the city to come do it, you're waiting 2-3 days maybe to get them to come out. So you just go and shut it off. And then of course you turn it off and you break it, or it starts leaking and pissing in the ditch, and then you're trying to fix it. And But we established rules, and one of the rules is that we'd never do a sewer line or a water line repair on a Friday, because every time it's screwed up.
No, for late night tie-ins, 2 a.m. tie-ins, I have every possible sleeve that you can ever think of on every single one of my jobs now. The first time I did a late night tie-in, everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong.
Have 3 or 4 of them, because somebody's going to use one and not tell you, and then you go to grab it and it's not there. But so we, against my better judgment and our rules, we had a slammed week. I booked this line in on the Friday. We had 2 jobs going. I literally went with one of my guys to go do this. Go out there in the morning, dig it up, find it, run it all the way back to the street. Everything went perfect. Like, I mean, textbook perfect. And it's 3:00 in the afternoon, and I look at Dave. I'm like, man, we could just cut this and tie it in and get it backfilled. And he looks at me. He's like, not a fucking chance. I'm like, come on, man. Like, everything. He's like, dude, everything has gone perfect to this point. Like, we are not.
You are not fucking this up.
And
right
I'm like, all right, you're right, Dave. That's fine. I was like, I crushed that pipe a little bit, like the old non-corrode pipe. I kicked it with the bucket when I was digging. I crushed it. I'm like, just go down there, cut that section of pipe out, splice a piece in, so that way when they got the service for the night, we'll come back tomorrow, we'll finish it up. All right, cool. Meanwhile, for people that don't know sewer and water and the residential stuff, especially in the old things, your sewer line, your water line always run in the same ditch, because they dug it by hand back then, and they weren't digging 2 ditches. They literally threw them one on top of each other and put them in the same ditch, up north anyways. So we couldn't find the water line all day. And it was weird, because it's always with the sewer line, but we couldn't find it. And I'm like, it was a duplex. I'm like, maybe they ran it off that, so I didn't think nothing of it. Dave gets down in the ditch with the recip saw, go to cut the sewer line out. Starts cutting. I'm literally like in my truck, stripping my coat off, just about to leave, or just about to start the truck. And all of a sudden I just hear Dave yelling, and I come running over. The water line was directly under the sewer line, and Dave cuts through the sewer line with the recip saw and cuts right through the water line. And it's 3:30 or 4 o'clock on a Friday in February in Canada. So it's like literally -20 Fahrenheit. It's freezing. There's water blowing everywhere. The CC is frozen solid. We couldn't shut it off in the first place, because it's literally full of ice and it's frozen solid. So we got water blowing out in the ditch in this front lawn on the side of a main street. And I'm just like, shit. Run back to the truck. I grabbed 2 I don't even know what I was thinking. I grabbed 2 sledgehammers, and I come running back in the ditch. And literally, I jump in this ditch, which is now knee deep in water. And there's like a stub of pipe sticking out of the ground, because Dave has grabbed it at this point and reefed it up in the air so we wouldn't lose the water line. And I jumped down. There were 2 sledgehammers, and I start smashing these sledgehammers together on this copper pipe. Because if you ever tried to kink over copper when it's pressured, you ain't doing it. I'm smashing these sledgehammers together to try to kink this pipe and bend it flat. And then I kink the damn thing over and get it to finally stop blowing water. By the time I got the water stopped in the ditch, there's probably 2.5 feet of water in this trench. And it's freezing cold. Well, now the house has no water service. And it's a duplex, and it's a service to both sides. And I'm like, shit. Jump in the truck, rip to the supply house, get there just in time to get a compression coupling and a chunk of Kitech, because I didn't have anything, because we weren't going to do the water line. I get back there, still can't turn the CC off. So grab the hunk of Kitech, get it stuffed on the house side, crimp it down, get it touched on there. Then we grab the water pipe, and I look at Dave. I'm like, this is going to suck. He's like, yeah, I know, because we've done this before in the summer, but like, it's freezing. It's winter. Like everything is frozen. We're down there knee deep in water, clean the pipe up, get everything ready to go. So basically what we're doing is we're doing we're splicing the line together while it's running at 70 PSI out of a 1-inch line. And you're going to stuff it into the fitting and then tighten this fitting up. And while you're trying to do this, the ditch is flooding, water's spraying everywhere. It's just a complete gong show. Get everything ready, slam the grinder on it. And anyone who's ever done this knows, but the minute you hit that water line with the grinder, you start cutting through it, and then you make your way through it with the grinder. And then you got this stream of water coming out of here, blows the grinder off of it, sprays you in the face, and you got to try to find the same hole that you've hit with the grinder to get it cut through, clean it up, and then jam the whole thing together, tighten it up. Like, you're drenched. and it's minus 20 Fahrenheit out. Like it was just absolute hell. But all that to say, don't do a tap on a Friday.
No,
Don't
for
mess
sure.
with it.
It's kind of like dare, hugs are better than drugs. Don't do water taps on Fridays.
Yeah. First thing in the morning on a Monday, never on a Friday afternoon.
No.
Yeah.
We actually in the dirt world have superstitions. You don't start a job on a Friday.
Yeah.
So you guys don't tap water lines. We don't start jobs on Fridays because if you want a snake bit fucking job, start a job on a Friday
Yeah.
in the dirt business. That job's going to have a grade bust that you didn't figure out on the topo somehow. Every other trade ain't going to haul their shit off. You're going to hit like 6 lines. You're going to hit a fiber. You're going to hit a water line. You're going to hit a gas line. You're going to
Find
hit
old burial
yeah.
ground.
You're
Yeah.
going to literally dig up some fucking old house that they buried. I mean, dude, we pulled a fucking engine out one time, a 350 Chevy engine in the middle of a house pad. We were like, where the fuck did this come from? Because there was nothing around it. It's just this giant 350 motor. And my guys took a picture of it sitting in the bucket and it's like hanging out. I'm like, a perfectly good 350 too. It was a nice looking one. I was like, damn, dude, what the fuck? So I'm thinking the guy boosted it and he buried it. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, that job in Melissa, they found human remains on, and they had to stop that job for like
Yeah.
6 months. Could you imagine doing that?
We found Indian burial grounds one time when I was working at another company, and they had to shut that one down for about a year because they had to come out there and exhume it and geologist people and all that crap. Yeah, because it was like prehistoric time crap. And they found like some dinosaur bones, and my boss was like, "Yeah, we ain't coming back to this one for a while."
So you guys want to pay standby on this? Or?
So we doing T&M on this deal, or how's this going to work out? We're doing delay on that one. Well, we're getting close to finishing up the episode. So you guys got anything else you want to talk about real quick?
I don't know. We touched on a lot of stuff. We were all over the map on this one.
This was a
probably
good.
the,
This was a fun episode. I gotta admit, and I got all my favorite people here tonight. I gotta admit, this has been a blast having everybody in the house.
I don't know if anyone learned anything, but they definitely probably got a laugh out of our
We haven't had a
stupid
comedy
stories.
one in a while though.
Yeah, it was pretty
Misfortunes.
good. Yeah, the learning lessons.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, every lesson I learn it the hard way.
Well, Matt, we definitely want to have you back on the show, buddy.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
So how can we reach you if anybody wants to get a hold of you?
On Instagram, just MJM Utilities. Yeah, Instagram. Not very much on Facebook. So
Okay. Do you have a website?
no, I do not. Not
Okay.
currently. Yeah.
We know a guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he could hook you up. So
Yeah, he's good shit.
yeah, he's good shit. Luke Egerbrotten from Phaser Marketing. Yeah, we'll give you a shout out, Luke.
I want a discount.
I want my commission. About to send you a hat too, so I want my commission. So, oh, by the way, everybody doesn't know the on grade hats are out. Colton, if you can hold yours up real quick so everybody can see it. So everybody that's listening, I'm sorry you can't see it, but if you want to go on the YouTube channel and also subscribe while you're on the YouTube channel, we truly appreciate it.
Like and drop a comment.
Yeah, we're up to 101. We're getting there, guys. We're not even close to 1,000, but we're getting there.
We're coming for you, Rogan.
We're coming. Also, we've got the on grade shop now online. I don't know the link. I'll put it in the LINKTREE, and it's in our LINKTREE, and it's also I'll put it on the Spotify and all that crap. But if you give us our 5 stars on Spotify,
I'll give you a crisp high five.
yeah, Chris 5 yeah. Also check us out on the gram, Facebook, YouTube. We're on something else, aren't we? On something else? What else are we on?
I know you've listed to
LinkedIn.
my extent of my.
I think we're on
My social
LinkedIn.
media.
Yeah, we're on LinkedIn. Yeah. Also, give some love to my brother who came in to help us out tonight. Much love to the Certified Wrench. Give him a listen. Incredible show, incredible man, and a great friend. Turned out to be an amazing friend. And we're gonna start doing. We got that thing coming up I was telling you about. We're gonna do it with like 4 other podcasts. So we're gonna have like a a big round table thing.
Like a podcast gangbang.
Yeah, it's gonna be like.
I went too far. Yeah.
We're gonna have to call it that now. The podcast.
It's kind of like Sweat and Grime when they were talking about it was like Sweat and Grime when they were talking about cock socks. So I guess we'll have to use the cock socks for that. Start calling it the cock socks. Jesus.
Our credibility is now shot.
Yeah, we're fucked. Anyways, guys, please like and subscribe. Give us our 5 stars. Go on Apple, leave us a review. Just, I don't care if it's my breath stinks and Devin needs to use Fahrenheit instead of Celsius, whatever you want to say. But much love to everyone that's been following the show and really starting to step up with the support. Colton's been helping us out a lot. Sweat and Grime for reaching out and helping us out as well. Dirty and Driven, and all the Canadian companies that Devin's brought on. Thank you so much. We love you guys, and whenever you guys get down here, we're gonna have you on the show. I've already told him that, so
yeah,
we're gonna have
tell him to get his ass down here. I told him he'd come down for the winter and lay some pipe with us, but
who are you gonna have come down?
I keep telling Christian he's got to come down here and hang out for the winter.
He does. Yeah, they all do. I need some dirt guys. So
you know what's going to happen? He doesn't want to come because his crew will never go back to Canada if he comes down here.
I know. They're gonna taste Whataburger sweet tea and fucking barbecue and be like, oh, fuck that shit. And then they're gonna see Buc-ee's and be like, yeah, really, fuck that shit. So, anyways, guys, we hope you enjoyed the show. Please like and subscribe. And Dev, you got anything, brother?
I think that's about it. We hit it all. It was good.
It was a good time.
Yeah,
We'll see you next time, guys. Stay classy, stay humble.